All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's now 11:30 a.m. So I'm going to call the Technology Committee for Tuesday, July 11, 2023 to order. Can I please get a roll call?
Yes. Berlin. Here. Cahill.
Here.
Carrier.
Here.
Eckhoff.
Here.
Galassi. Guston.
Here.
Henry.
Here.
Kasmerick.
Here.
Hendrick. Rutledge.
Here.
White.
Here.
You.
And I'm here. All right, so for my remarks, I just wanted to let you guys know that over 70% of county staff have completed their cybersecurity training, but there are still some board members who have not yet completed their training. So I'm just going to make that final reminder. All right.
You're not here at all.
When I gave that information last week, I didn't double check, but we're up to 86%.
86%, that's good. Okay, but I would like to not continue reminding you all, so come on, let's get this done. And then secondly, Wendy actually is not here. Oh, look, Chair Conroy has arrived. Hi, Chair.
He's curious about AI.
So I just want to make a shout out to Wendy Wagner, who's actually still over in ad hoc collective bargaining, but she's our Deputy CIO for Information Technology, and she's been with DuPage County for over 30 years. And I wanted to let you know that she is planning her retirement for December 4, 2023. So I just wanted to make that announcement, and we will cry closer to that date. So
yeah, we will.
There is no public comment. So I will move, I will ask for a motion for the approval of minutes, 23-23-12, approval of minutes for the Technology Committee from Tuesday, June 20, 2023. I do have a motion and a second. Any discussion or changes to the minutes? And hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. So moving on to procurement requisitions, can I get a motion on TEP 005723, recommendation for the approval of contract purchase order to CDW Government Inc. for the annual maintenance and support of Veritas Net Backup software for information technology. This contract covers the period of September 24, 2023 through September 23, 2024 for a contract total amount of $57,694.48. I heard a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Is this what we spoke about a couple of weeks ago? That we were.
Can't remember.
Okay. Okay, never mind.
Sorry.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I would now like a motion for 23-2313, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Learning Tree International USA for the procurement of 15 educational training vouchers which do not expire for IT. This contract begins upon approval for a total amount of $29,925 per GSA schedule. Great. I know you did that. Yep. Motion. Thank you. And a second. Any questions with regard to this item?
Really sure we want to pass it.
Thank you. Yes, it turns out that we have 63 staff in IT, but we are asking for 15 vouchers because this is very expensive and very important. So this is a great item. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. This motion carries. So we are going to move directly to IT project updates and our AI presentation. Thank you for everybody who is here today for this.
So I wanted to do a couple things during this conversation. Number one, I'm going to provide the quarterly update that, Zoom screen was in the way. All right, there it is. So I wanted to accomplish two things today. So as you know, quarterly, I provide you guys with updates on mainly enterprise projects. And as I explained to you in the past, we have enterprise projects, which are projects that affect the entire organizations or a big group of the organization. And then we have operational projects, which are the behind the scene things that we do. We have tons of those. These are mainly the enterprise things. There are a couple of operational projects that I want to just bring you up to speed on and let you know what we're doing there. And eventually it may move to enterprise level. But for now, just as an FYI. So the first thing is just to bring you up to date on where we are with those enterprise level projects. Second thing is unique and different, but something that Chair, you and I have talked about, and that's educating you guys on different technologies, different things that are happening in the IT world from time to time. So we did it in November with the CrimeStat portal. We came in and kind of presented on it so that you were aware of what that is. Today, we're going to talk about AI, which is a big topic in every single industry you can think of. So there has been a lot of change within the past year or two, significant change within the past year that you should be aware of. And the goal here is to educate you on what's going on in AI and really talk about what the IT department is doing to embrace it and prepare for it as it comes along. All right, so start with tech projects. So the first one is our ERP implementation, which affects a very large percentage of our administrative offices. So finance, procurement, budget, HR, payroll, so on and so forth. This project is happening in 2 phases. When we talked last, I think in March or so, we were in the process of managing through an RFP for the HR payroll side. I am happy to say that a system was selected and approved by our chair and board last month. So we're moving forward with the implementation of a new HR payroll system starting in August of this year. We selected a company by the name, 2 companies, but the solution provider is called Ceridian, and the actual application is Dayforce. On Actuate is the implementation partner. So for a lot of these software companies, they create the application, but they allow for service providers to learn their product and implement and support it moving forward. So that's what On Actuate does. They've been doing this for years, so they have a direct experience and a direct relationship with Ceridian. So I'm happy about that, and that we're going to be moving this portion of the ERP system forward. We are starting on August 1st, and we've actually done some pre-work already. We're planning now and just doing prep work. We're going through double checking our requirements. We have a technical call to talk about what's required on the technical side, even before we start the formal implementation next month. So excited about that. You're going to hear a lot more about it. This is one of our top 2 projects here in DuPage County right now that affects us all. And anticipated implementation schedule is about 12 months. The implementation partner said they can do it in 9 to 10. I don't believe them. So it usually takes a little longer than that, especially in organizations of our size. If we're going to do it right, we need to take the time to test it, test the data, make sure the data is correct, clean the data, go back and forth until we get it right. So I anticipate a minimum of 12 months. And then the second portion of the ERP implementation is the finance piece. When we had talked last, the thought was to start finance right away after we were done with the selection of payroll and HR. The planning committee, which consists of finance, procurement, IT, and some other areas, decided that that is probably not the best approach for 2 reasons. Number one, we don't want to rush it. This is not an implementation that you rush. An ERP system, like a case management system for the court system, is the largest application and most complex application that an organization will have, right? It touches many individuals, has many processes that's affected by it, and tons of data that's affected by it and users. So number one, we don't want to rush. We want to take our time, plan it the right way, and implement it the right way. Number two, when we first came to you and said that we needed to make this change, it was at a time when our existing ERP provider told us that they were going to sunset our existing application, kill our existing application, not support it in 2026. Since then, they have actually extended it, probably because of complaints from people like us and other organizations that doesn't give us enough time. But they've extended it to 2030. So the finance side, there's no rush, but we still think it's important to find an application that fits our needs and integrates well and plays well with our HR payroll system. So with that said, our goal is to start that in 2024, start the RFP process before the budget season, and then start the implementation after the budget season or at the end of the budget season in August. So you'll hear more about that, but we're going to put that on the shelf right now. Focus on payroll, HR implementation, make sure we get it right, and then move on to the finance side.
So prior to this, how were you handling the payroll system?
Yeah, so N4, we have a payroll, existing payroll system through N4, and there are other processes.
An outsourced program still.
It is, yeah.
Okay, because you say payroll outsourcing, it's still the same.
Oh, no. So I'm sorry, let me clarify that. Okay. So currently it's all done in-house, but we have a system that we use, the N4 system that the team uses.
Okay.
With the new system, we have hired them for a new system, plus to augment our existing staff, we're going to do some outsourcing in certain areas.
Yes, okay.
And Margaret Ewing, our HR director, can speak to it in more detail, but it's to help augment what she already does. Okay. It's a huge operation, a lot that's going on. So there's a extra pair of eyes and hands to help out and to verify payroll, do things of that nature.
Can I ask a question on the same subject of the payroll systems? Are the end users, like, are the employees going to have a portal for their time and expenses?
They are. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So existing functionality won't change. We're just going to enhance things. So we're not going to take away anything that we currently have.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. I love that we can eliminate some of those transcription errors.
Yeah. Any other questions related to this one? Okay. And the watch item, and for those of you who are new to these updates, those are things that we keep an eye on just in case, and they could go wrong. So we list our watch items, and it's the finance ERP timeline when we're going to launch. Okay, next slide. Oh, it's me. Usually it's somebody else. All right, so our second project, which I think is not quite as impactful as ERP, but close, and that's the changing of our .gov domain. We made a choice about a year or so ago, a year and a half ago, to go from a .org, which is typically meant for nonprofits and not for government organizations. .govs are actually more secure than .org, so we decided to switch. But it's a huge switch. So the first part of our change happened last year when we changed our website from DuPageco.org to DuPageCounty.gov. Second part is to change the email addresses that you all use. So we are working on that. We originally started at the beginning of the year. We took a little bit of a hiatus because of other priorities, but we've started up again. Ultimate goal is to complete it at the end of this year. We are working with external vendors to help us with some of the tasks, and really Joe's team, the network team, actually did a lot of the work and is doing the majority of the work. But we always like to depend on SMEs to help us validate that what we either planned out or designed or what we're implementing is actually accurate and working well. So I'm doing that now. Originally, I mentioned a go live in November. We moved it to December, but the goal is to get it done by the end of the year. Okay, and there's nothing that's really pushing us. We can continue to do what we do today. We're also asking, we control printing of business cards. We're asking that people print the minimum number of business cards and other materials using the old address, because by the end of this year, we're going to replace it with .gov.
And the other one won't.
Either one will work. So even if you don't change anything, we're going to keep .gov in the background for at least 6 months, a year or so, to make sure that people get it. .org, in the background to make sure that individuals are able to get their mail, or if they have any links on the website that point to the .org domain, customers can still get to them, users. Okay, and our watch item there is just the implementation timeline because of the current delay. All right, next one is cybersecurity action plan, which is super important. Can't go into a lot of detail in this discussion about cybersecurity or IT security in general. So if you have specific questions that is related to either the solutions that we use or how they configure, we can have a separate private conversation about that, or we can do something in closed session to cover it, but I can't talk about that in the open session. But here are a couple of highlights that you should be aware of. So we are actively monitoring, tweaking all of our security postures, meaning security is a active thing that you have to address daily. It changes, new programs, new hackers come up, new viruses pop up every day, right? I think I mentioned in one of our previous meetings that 82% of the email that you get is spam. We just filter it out. So there's tons of bad actors out there that are hitting us. So we're always proactively trying to address it and stay ahead of the bad actors. They may get us one day, just being honest. If you haven't heard, Addison was hit with the ransomware virus.
This past that you mentioned that.
Yeah, this past weekend. We're working with them right now, and they're working with a managed detection and response company, Sophos, to kind of clean the systems, get them off of their network and get their network back up and running, but they have been impacted by it. The overall impact, they're still working on. They still don't know if they go city of Addison. So it happens, right? And they've taken every precaution you can think of, and it just happened, right? Someone clicked on the link. So for those of you who are upset with us about cybersecurity training, please don't be. We do it for that reason, so that you're trained not to click on bad links.
But it's still so tricky. I mean,
it is still tricky.
Cybersecurity, the training, like an A or an A. I mean, it can be the smallest thing like that.
It can be.
Even though I've been through the training, I don't know that I would still catch that.
Some things you may not, but I think overall, the big ones you can.
Yeah.
Now, it's evolving, and that is a concern, because before, almost always you could find a mistake that your eye can spot. Nowadays, they've gotten so creative, and it's so accurate that it is really hard. But that's okay. So we hope you never click on them, but we do have security in place and tools to catch those things, try to contain them, mitigate them when they can. So even if you do, we have systems in place to try to stop it. But
and you keep testing this with fish.
We keep testing with fish.
We
absolutely do, and we will continue to test you with fish.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
All right. So another big thing that we're doing in the cybersecurity space is we currently have a RFP on the street for managed detection and response. You'll see us always use acronyms. Sorry about that. That's MDR. That's simply a outside organization that runs 24/7, 365 to proactively look at our network to see what's coming. And if we ever do get hacked, they're like Sophos and Addison. They're going to get on the phone with us, help us contain it, come up with a plan, and help us get back up and running as quickly as possible. So we have our team today, and I think they would do a fantastic job if it happens, but it's great to have a third party who does only that, help out, and that's what we're doing right now. So we issued our RFP. The responses are due July 20th, and we hope to make a selection. And then during our next tech committee meeting after board approval, I will present to you guys who that organization is. All right, I think the big thing here is the watch items, managed detection and response, RFP, and cybersecurity liability insurance are big things that we're focused on. Cyber liability insurance, we're just keeping an eye on making sure that we pass the assessment that the insurance company is going to take us through. That determines exactly what our rates are, what our premiums are, things of that nature, or if they reject us as a client. All right, next slide. Oh, that's me. So used to Wendy being back there and out for me. So I'm going to go through this quickly because we are already running out of time and I have not even started the AI piece of it. These are items I just want you to be aware of. B2G Now. B2G Now is our diversity and inclusion tracking tool. It's in place. We're using it. We're tracking minority, small businesses, and women-owned businesses and interacting with them using the data in that tool. Just want you to be aware of that because last time we met, the last time I gave an update, we had not done that. PRMS is our police records management system. We're upgrading the system by the end of the year. So just stay tuned. We deal with 36 police agencies and other agencies throughout DuPage County. It's going to be a big improvement for them for reporting and access to information with this new tool. So we've done part of the upgrade. We've replaced the existing hardware and infrastructure. This part 2 is to upgrade the actual application, which is a little more complex. It takes a little more time, but the timing is between August. We start in August, and we hope to be done by the end of the year. Our e-discovery tool, we're working with our state's attorney's office to implement a better tool for them to do discovery work. So I'll just keep that one short. We have a new tool. It's more effective. They're happy about it. And we'll soon be done with the full implementation of the new tool. It's Microsoft's current tool. It's the Microsoft tool that we use, but the newest version. And it has a lot more functionality than the previous tool. So it'll make it much simpler and much easier for our attorneys. FOIA request tool, we've also selected a FOIA request tool, and we're going to go to the board in August to ask for approval. Right now, there's a lot of manual processes involved in keeping track of FOIA requests. It doesn't make a lot of sense for us to do that, especially considering the size of our organization. So we are moving forward with an application that we believe will help us get a better handle on FOIA requests, track them through the entire process. So that's happening. And then the last but not least, as you know, we sent out a survey trying to get more information about intranet. Intranet is super important in most organizations. It's your internal website to help your employees access critical information that they need. All right, so we're working on that and working on the new design and what we're going to use in the future for our intranet.
Question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Could you go back a slide, please? So the FOIA request tool, I'm not sure what that looks like. Is that like if we get a FOIA request and we're requested to find information on whatever the request is? I always send in an email or whatever the request is. It's a large thing to wrap my hands around, but say the request is on turtles. So anything you've ever written about turtles. So if I go into, what I've been doing is sending the request back to the FOIA officer about turtles. Everything in my DuPage County email about turtles, I will send it back to them. But is this FOIA request tool, will that automatically dig everything about turtles out of my county board for me?
No. What it will do is help us keep track of all requests. We'll have it go through one source, one place on the website, and then it'll actually send it to the right departments or elected official offices.
Okay, so it's all about the departments, not the individual emails.
It is.
Okay, thank you.
It is a great question, but I think there are some efficiencies in there that will help you. It just doesn't do exactly that because there's no way.
So that, it'd be nice if the county could pull everything about turtles out of my county email, and then I would just have to look at my private email for anything about turtles and just send that in. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think we can. So that's what e-discovery is about. It's about doing a search, at least on email.
Okay.
And then I think we do manual searches of the network on certain things. So we actually can do that. So we can sit down with you and talk about how to make it easier for you.
Killing turtles.
She's killing turtles.
I just came up with a topic because it was so
We'll
hard
change
to
it to a
explain
rabbit,
out.
speed it up. So we will sit down with you and go through the process. I think this is probably an easier way that maybe we haven't explained to you.
Thank you.
So we do a lot of the background work. So, all right, artificial intelligence. So I'm going to run through this as quickly as I can. But I do want you to be aware of the information, the details, and feel free to ask any questions that you have. But I'll start with what is artificial intelligence. Essentially, it is programming or a system that tries to mimic what humans do. That's what artificial intelligence is. So in a very simple way of putting it, it tries to mimic the actions and thoughts of humans and produce things, we'll get to more versions of it, produce things that are human-like. All right, so we're not gonna focus on all AI, we're gonna focus on generative AI, which is mainly the AI that you see today, ChatGPT, GPT, other things that are out there. We'll focus on that. That one is a subset of AI, but it really focuses on the human portion of it and trying to develop things or and produce things that appear to be from humans, right? That's the ultimate goal of it. A lot of advantages. I'm not going to go through that in detail because we don't have a lot of time, but it helps with efficiency. There's a place for it in every industry, and I believe there's a place for it here in the county. All right, I wanted to show you this. This is a great example of AI. So ChatGPT took what I wrote and rewrote it, and wrote it in a very intelligent way. So it's very simple, the responses, the things I highlighted, it's to the point. But here's a good example of what ChatGPT and what the AI can do. That was done in literally a second. So put it in ChatGPT, did a search, came back with this result.
Teachers are worried about this, you know.
They are worried about this.
Oh my gosh, I've spoken to so many of them. They're like, this is going to be crazy.
Although this morning, I also at home saw a group of teachers doing Zoom education on how to use.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's technology you can't get away from. It is, to me, and to I think a lot of IT experts, very similar to the internet, right? The internet completely changed the way we work as a society. This AI will do the same, for sure.
Are there any technological markers that you can look at, any code or anything that would tell you conclusively that it's AI generated?
There are some things, absolutely, that you mean the production of the result of whatever you're asking for, very different.
Like teachers and...
Yeah, no, it's very, very difficult because essentially they can produce it and then a kid can copy and paste it in the Word and then it has the Word footprint. So there's no way you
and
can
off
do
it goes.
Yeah, programmers can tell in the back end in some cases because it makes mistakes. So it's not perfect. It doesn't have the experience that we do as humans.
Yet.
You can catch certain things when it's coding and things of that nature. When it's rewriting things and even images, it's very difficult now. So it's that good where you can reproduce an image to look exactly like the original. Bill?
I was a university professor, and an assignment he recently gave is he had ChatGPT create an essay on a topic. Then he gave it to the students and said, find the mistakes. And so it was a lot of work to dig out the mistakes because they made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, and you can absolutely learn from it, and I think we will over time. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this slide, but wanted you to know that there are a lot of types of AI. So reactive machines, that's the original type of AI, and it is not much you can do with essentially that AI doesn't use memory. So it can answer a question, but it won't remember what it answered. So, it doesn't do a lot for it. Limited memory is where we are focused now. The majority of the AI technology that you know today comes from limited memory. The other two, theory of mind and self-awareness, those are future things. So theory of mind is the next step in the evolution of AI, and it's about using your emotions, your feelings, your thought patterns to address you and respond to you. So they're getting there with that one. Self-awareness, that's the stuff you see in Star Wars and Star Trek. When you see robots walking around and interacting, that's self-awareness. They're self-aware themselves. They can answer and respond almost like humans. We're nowhere near there, but they're trying to get there. And then those terms, I won't spend a lot of time on. You've already heard of AI. Machine learning is a subset of AI and part of what ChatGPT and some of the current technologies use. Deep learning is a subset of machine learning. It's a way to go even deeper and deeper layers. And then generative AI is what we're going to focus on, which is really trying to make it human-like. The response is human-like. All right, really quick with this, why is it so hot? It's a lot of different reasons. Debbie Deasy, our web services manager, reminded me today one of the biggest reasons is it's now available to the public, which it never has. So AI has been around for a long time, for years, but now it's available to the public, so that makes it really a hot item. Also, it can be used by anyone. So you just essentially have to type into the bot, the search, hit search, and it does the rest. So they made it so simplistic, so easy to use that it's really a hot thing. So just want to highlight that generative pre-trained transformer is a type of AI foundational model that's used. So foundational models are essentially subsets of data that the program uses to answer questions or to produce things for you. So if it doesn't have that, it's hard for it to produce what it's looking for. ChatGPT is the newest version of GPT, and it's the hottest thing out. ChatGPT 3.5, I think, is the latest version that we're using right now. But that's the big craze. That's the one that you can actually download yourselves, not for work use yet, but for personal use, to test it out and try it out. It was created by an organization called OpenAI. OpenAI is a nonprofit organization with a for-profit subsidiary, but it's mainly nonprofit. It started in 2015, and it created this whole OpenAI concept, and it created ChatGPT. All right, what is ChatGPT? Why is it popular? So a lot of different reasons, and I'm going to run through these quickly. So it's popular because it, as I mentioned earlier, has the ability to mimic what humans do. Their response is more than any of the AI that's available to the public has been before. It has a very large subset of data that it searches through that has a lot of the latest answers. I don't know if you all ever noticed this, if you used it. I think it was 2021, I think, was the cutoff for the data. So if there are items that have been after 2021, it can't answer it for you well, right? And they'll come back and say that. So it's limited to the time frame. That'll, of course, change over time. But that's the limit of what ChatGPT can do, but it can answer everything else, right, for you. It can also hold what people seem to be intelligent conversations. You see it in bots. When you go to certain sites, retail sites, or even medical sites, the answers, it's ChatGPT behind it, or that type of technology that's responding back and forth to you. You give it a question, and then it goes looks in the data set to see if it has an answer, and it comes back with the answer. So great form of that. So that's why it's super popular. It's also super popular because it can be used in just about every industry now. So it can be used in health, it can be used in finance, it can be used in all these other areas. So that's why it's super popular. You can't see this, it's an eyesore, but these are all the things that can be used for. It can generate text. It can serve as a response to questions and answers on the website or directly. It can summarize text. I think that's one of the most popular things and what kids are using it for. Go out and find this data and summarize it for me. So if you need to do a quick briefing on even ChatGPT and AI, you can ask ChatGPT to do a summary of it, and it'll summarize it into a small, succinct set of information that you can use and consume quickly. A lot of other things, search, code generation, it actually can help programmers generate basic code. So for the programmers that can spend a week generating code, they can probably do it in 30 minutes. The problem is it doesn't always do it as accurate as a programmer. So it can generate it, but you'll find errors. So for this current version of AI, you have to have human interaction to validate that things are good and are working with. That's Wendy. All right. Also in public sector, so I want you to be aware of this. These are the areas that AI is being used. So constituent engagement, so you can have a bot remind people of events, remind them when their taxes are due, things of that nature, right? You can set it up so they can engage your constituents. Also, all types of communications. It can send out communications, it can write communications, it can direct communications. It can help out in public health, public safety, transportation. It can control different devices. So for, say, transportation, it can control the signals, right, that happen on the street, or the different things that happen. Finance management, it can create financial models. It can validate models that can take humans a long time to go through and research and do. It can do a lot more. Constituent services, it can help out with energy and utilities, help you keep track of your utilities, how you are using utilities, how you in the future can save money, things of that nature. And it can, of course, do research and heavy engagement on behalf of you. It can go out to different customers and gather information from them on your behalf. All right. Also, how can DuPage County use AI? Here's a long list of things I believe that we can use AI for. But before we go through that list, and you can read it yourselves, the goal is to make sure that we get our hands around what's important, get our hands around the areas that it can impact the most and the quickest, and those are the areas that we're going to start focusing on. All right, ethical concerns. I think you guys would be interested in this. So it does a lot of good things, but of course there's some things that we have to watch out for. And the reason why I like for you to understand, and we'll communicate to the rest of the DuPage County users, is it's not something you want to use in the work environment yet, because we need to get our hands around these things first, right? So it could produce false answers or hallucinations. Hallucinations are essentially, it thinks it's answering the question, but it doesn't really know the content, right? And it thinks it's the perfect answer that's completely wrong. And in some cases, the people reading it, they have no clue that it's completely wrong because it's so well written and it's, you know, fact-based. It seems like it's fact-based, but that's happening. There's tons of data issues that the bot may not be able to pick up, that a subject matter expert or another tool may be able to do. It can reproduce things that are copywritten, right? Which can be a major problem. It can reproduce things that it's not supposed to reproduce. Deep fakes is a big problem in a lot of areas, especially politics, where it looks exactly like the person and it's not the person, right? It looks, it sounds. It can take snippets of sound and answers, slice it together in movements and reproduce you. So we have to be very careful with deepfakes. Fraud and abuse, which has already started with spam. So people are writing programs using ChatGPT to spam us and to search for information, which is a problem. Lack of transparency and clear explanations. Some of the models are just, you don't know how it produced a particular answer or a particular artifact, and that's a problem. And the concentration of power, foundations models can develop only on these hyperscaler huge machines. And then exposure of sensitive information is a huge thing, right? It can go through scale, get through a system and get HIPAA information. It shouldn't do that, right? And that could be a problem. That's why I say no ChatGPT for business use currently today.
And some of that's happening already, the deep fakes.
It is.
The woman in Joliet whose daughter called and said that she was in a car accident and the man who pulled over to help her wanted her to bring money to the scene. It was like and it wasn't her daughter. It was a deep fake of her daughter's voice that they got. I mean, so it's happening in the, you know, as local as Joliet.
It is, it's happening
where people
today.
are trying to scam people with their own child's voice.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's happening today. So,
yeah.
And one of the reasons I wanted to have this discussion with you is because it is happening today. And it's moving very quickly, but it's not going to stop. So we need to get out in front of it. You need to be aware of it. And you need to share it with your constituents and whoever else that is there. And we're working on it. But County IT is working on a solution or trying to vet it so that we can get a better understanding.
You know, and I've heard that obviously it doesn't have a consciousness, this AI, but all it does is it's memorized like everything. Like if I said needle in a, what would you say? Haystack. See, it's just memorized everything. So it knows what the next word should be, but it's not always correct, you know?
That's
and that's where
right.
you get your hallucinations and the inaccuracies.
Yeah, that's exactly, you're spot on. So, and that's exactly what it does. That's all it does.
It just
so the better the data,
everything.
the more accurate the data, the person who cleaned the data and went through it is, the better results you'll get from these bots. But it can produce wrong answers because it's not as perceptive as we are. It can't say, that doesn't make sense. It's really answer B, right? So it doesn't do that. It says, you told me to get this one item. Here's the one item you got, and it may be wrong, right? All right.
I think we are using it right now. Every time we use Office 365.
That's absolutely correct.
When I use Word, it always suggests.
Every time you use Microsoft, every time you use Google, every time you use Amazon, you're dealing with bots, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So that's how they do it, and that's how they do it so efficiently now, and they get it through. What's great about ChatGPT, it's available to all of us now and not to just these big companies that have been using it for years. All right, last slide, be quick with this one. So how is County IT preparing for the emergence of AI? We're doing a lot of research. We're demoing different solutions. We brought in Microsoft, AWS, we're gonna bring Google. We're trying to learn as much as we can about AI from them and the different products. It is a challenge because now there's a race for these companies to produce the best solution, right? They know it's a hot item. They're all producing their own forms of ChatGPT. So, you know, we're gonna work with it, but it's a lot. So, but we're learning, we're growing with it. We don't have all the answers. We're doing the research and we're getting answers from experts when we can. Having strategic discussions with peers and AI vendors is what I just meant. So we're reaching out to different vendors and also our peers. I'm reaching out to all the CIOs to understand how they're using it within their organizations. And we are also working on proof of concept engagements. So we have done that already with a technology called robotic process automation. It's not quite AI, it's the step underneath it, but it's basically task-based. If we tell it to do a task, it can do it very, very well. We think there are areas within DuPage County where we can use this and supplement it for human interactions, right? Things that are done over and over again, our PA can probably do it for us. So not to replace individuals, but to supplement what they do. All right. And then last but not least, we have developed an AI subject matter expert team consisting of developers from different areas. So our client application developers, mainframe application developers, and web developers are all working together to help us understand how AI impacts us and what we should use AI for here in DuPage County. So more to come. That's it. A lot. Any questions? Sorry, I went over it so far.
I have a couple questions. Number one, can you get Alexa to recognize female voices? So put that in the queue when you're talking to these companies. Number two, a lot of that is done on marketing, Amazon and the rest of them. Or if it's a technology like Word or PowerPoint or whatever. The one thing though I want to make sure we have is like when you type in human and you actually get a human being that you can chat with. It's just to make sure all of our programs have that. Because as you said, the bot doesn't always give you the answer that you're looking for.
That's absolutely right. So to that answer, one of the things that we're working on now is creating a new a chatbot, a new search function for our website that is powered by ChatGPT. And essentially what it would do is we would, it may not be ChatGPT, but some kind of AI, but basically it would take answers that we provided, pre-canned answers, and get it to folks quicker, right? They search for something that comes up faster. Our plan is to make sure that whatever the chat is manned 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 or something like that. Then after hours, use the technology to do it. But so that's to your point. So when people are around and we have available staff, we'll answer those things. Talk to them, I agree.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, Anthony, thanks so much for the presentation. So Anthony and I had discussed doing this AI presentation back in February, and so it's finally come to fruition. And I'm very, very pleased that we've got so much information. The fact that we are on the cutting edge of this particular technology that we are demoing and that we are looking into it is really, really important. And the fact that we can potentially increase efficiencies, improve constituent engagement, communication, strategic planning, all of that through AI is really, really exciting to me. So thank you. Okay, any old business and any new business? And I will take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Right, great, thank you. We're adjourned.